guys, welcome to another episode. I'm so excited today because we're going to have a spicy topic in the house, and I have the best people I could have had this conversation with. Chuks, what's going on?
Michelle, how you doing? I'm good.
Hi, Glo, how's it going?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good. Thank you both for coming on here. So, for people who are listening, you've probably heard this, or maybe you haven't heard this, but there's some people who strongly believe that when it comes to looking for partners, women have way higher standards than men do. So, if a woman is looking for a boyfriend, she is looking for way too many more things than a man would be looking for when he is looking for a girlfriend. So, I'm curious to hear what Glow and Chuks think about here. So, Chugs, let's hear it. Do you agree with that or you don't agree?
It's a double-edged sword. I think life is about perspective, and I think some parts of the media and whatnot kind of change this perspective and don't cause people to think for themselves. And it leads to a lot of frustration, confusion, and just kind of fights amongst the sexes. Um, Growing up when I was younger, I used to think that yeah, girls ask for a lot. Then growing up, I kind of realized like yeah, anyone can ask for what they want. The problem is when you get frustrated and you're taking it out on through your friends or through the other sex, or you just start degrading the other sex. That's what the problem I have. So
Mhm.
personally, I have no problem with someone saying what they want. Someone says they want a billionaire. That's their business. It's their life. But when someone tries to down the other sex because of their so-called preference, that's where I think it could get a little bit toxic and stuff we don't talk about. I think some guys we do try to like reason with women, like, hey, this is just the reality of things. Um, and I understand where women are coming from being in history, being the sex that didn't have as much resources, didn't have as many opportunities. Um, they want to kind of keep that same mindset, the traditional mindset, but in reality, right now, because everyone is getting opportunities, I don't think we should look at it like this is just a traditional thing. We should look at it now you get to make your life how you want to make your life. And I think that's what people aren't seeing it when they say, okay, girls might say, oh, I'm a lawyer. I want a guy that's also this. I want a guy that's also that, has this much money, looks like this. Yeah, through the traditional lens, it makes sense, right? If you look at the traditional lens from something like, let's take the physical, a strong, tall guy or whatever. In the traditional lens, when women could only like farm and like stay in the house and things like that, it will make sense for you to have a strong, vigorous guy that will be able to
Mm.
provide for you, that will be able to go out there and fight for you. Back when we were like a little bit in our older days. But now in a more modern society, a more progressive society, stats like that might not necessarily matter. It's hard to say they don't matter because it's part of our biologic biology as well. It's kind of wired inside us. Then things like, let's say, salary or income, like let's say you're a woman that's making $100,000 and you're like, you can only be with a guy. I've met some of my female friends who say they have to be with a guy that makes at least 20, 40K. Some of my female friends say they can be at the same salary as me or above. They just can't be below. And I understand that. But in just the reality of things, when you look at a number like that, especially it depends on what your friends group is. Like my friends group, with a lot of my lady friends are doing very well for themselves. They're thriving in their careers, thriving in their educations. So when you put yourself in that circle, and you say, okay, this is what's around me, this is what I'm doing, the other thing should have it, you kind of distort reality a little bit. Because in reality, how much of the US population makes six figures? When you look at the data, you look at the stats, you'll see it's like what I think like 8%, 7%. Don't quote me on that. It's like a number less than 10%. And then you
Mm.
talk about the whole world, which the USA runs the economy, runs the most people make money per capita. And you realize that you're kind of up there. You know what I mean? So now for you to like cut off more of like, okay, you're already up there, then now you're gonna cut off, okay, maybe salary might be your thing, and then you cut off like physicality, then you cut off this, you're just kind of lowering your options in a sense. And that's just the rule for a lot of things in the world. And I don't think people look at stuff from that angle anymore. People look at it for more from a, I don't want to say primitive, but more old and traditional type of mindset of okay, this is what it was used to be in the past. Um, if you're like living in a Western country, I'm talking about back home and like where we're from in Africa, it's a little bit different there. We haven't as progressed as much. But like here in America or like some other Western countries, women have the choice. Women have some rights. It's not 100% equal, like 50, but like in terms of like careers, things like that, it makes sense. And you can kind of build your life the way you want to build your life and drive it there. You could play your cards right, but I don't think that's kind of seen. I think it's kind of more of a shaming tactic. Like I've seen so much. All my friends are doing well. All men are mediocre. Most men are mediocre. Da da da. And when I was younger, I used to think, yeah, maybe that might be true. That growing up, I'm like, no, that's not fair to the men because I see a lot of men that are doing well as well, and I see a lot of men who are like doing and going in their purpose, going in their mission. And now I think with women, now that women are starting to be able to go to like higher education, either able to get these high paying jobs, it's not looked at the same as okay, I'm just working in my purpose and want a partner to join me because there are other factors, of course, like let's say pregnancy, childbearing ages, different things of that nature, society pressure, family pressure, and people aren't looking at things like that. There's so many factors for that, and I think this leads to a lot of the frustration and
Mm.
some bitterness, and even to the fact of some resentment, and even to the extent of some hate that I see in society today. So that was just my little quick spill.
Oh, man, Chuks came in hot. How about you, Glo?
Okay, where to begin? Where to begin? Okay, first of all, I want to come out the gate and just say that to your question, Michelle,
Mhm.
I think that women have lower standards than they should, actually.
Whoa.
Um, and
Okay.
yeah, and I think not only lower standards than they should, I think that women have lower standards than they're perceived to have, which goes on to my next point, which is the myth of the gold digger, which we talk about this as women all the time, especially like on social media and stuff. But men often say, women these days, they're not really like deep. They just want, they want you to have a lot of money. They want you to look a certain way, etc., etc. Which in reality, and I think you can attest to this, I certainly can, and many other women I know, where it's like, y'all niggas are not. Wait, first, can we curse? Can
Yes,
we
you
say
can. Oh,
niggas?
go ahead.
Okay,
No
okay,
cussing, no cussing, no cussing.
okay. Okay, you guys don't have money like that, for real, for real. Like, most of you are regular, degular Joe Schmo. You have barely 2 coins to rub together, but we still date you. Like, we're still with you. And not only do we date you, we love you. Um, and so I feel like a lot of men will complain about, gold diggers or women having standards, particularly monetary or financial standards, that we in reality continue to break all the time. Like, most of the men that most women are dating are not well off. They're average sometimes, and oftentimes they even make less than the woman they're with. So I think that women don't have as high standard, especially in the financial aspect, than what is portrayed, particularly Black women. And that, I think that's something that is a criticism that is leveled against Black women unfairly. Like, Black women want to be with rich men, African women want to be with rich men, especially whereas white women, they care about their man and they want, they want to take care of him, etc. Like, all of these misperceptions, myths, misconceptions, etc. Like, I think that they're false, and yeah, it's not empirically like valid. And then the second one, the third thing that I wanted to say was the standards that women do have, which again have been empirically proved to exist. I don't know if you heard about the article that came out. I think it was a few weeks ago about how there are more men that are finding it harder to date, especially on the apps, because women are expecting them to have quote unquote higher standards. But when you read the article, the research actually states that the higher standards that they're talking about is men being more emotionally intelligent and,
Mm.
sensitive, self-aware, taking care of themselves, taking care of, like things that would literally make them decent human beings, right? Like that is how low the standard is. And because of the quote unquote high standards that women now have, men are struggling to thrive in the dating space. But if you look at the things that are being listed as quote unquote high standards, it's just standards that make you a decent human being, really. So this is not something that women are making up. Like literally most men, because of the socialization around masculinity and all of this stuff, because of patriarchy, etc., all of which seem like buzzwords, but that's the reality, is that there is the standards that women have set are standards that are necessary to have a thriving relationship. What has happened now is that our relative economic power that we relative, because there's still a huge gender pay gap, but we're doing much better than we were before, and I agree with Chuks on that. And that has allowed us to not have to tolerate, being with men who are not emotionally intelligent, with men who are abusive, etc. So our financial emancipation has allowed us to kind of not have to settle for the worst of the worst. But we are still, like, even with that, we're still dealing with men who are struggling or now having to learn how to communicate with us and relate to us in a way that they should have been doing anyway, because that is what is expected of us and that's how we show up to relationships, but has never been expected of them. And so there is this kind of disconnect, I think, with the quote unquote standards, which really are or should be, the bare minimum that men should show up. And here I'm mostly talking about heterosexual men should show up in relationships with. And then on the point of, women having more choices and women, again, as I said before, it's relative. Even in the US, there's still a huge gender pay gap. The notion of choice is debatable because we saw, like, over COVID, for example, when that started, at least in academia, and I'm sure in other industries as well, women were struggling because not only were they expected to show up financially in the relationship, they were also expected to shoulder much of the domestic burden. So they ended up not doing as well in their careers as men were able to do. And so that again shows you that the standard, most women who are in heterosexual relationships make certain compromises that men would never make in their heterosexual relationships. And again, that is because there's a way that heterosexual relationships end up making women shoulder a lot more of the domestic labor, a lot more of the emotional labor in the relationship, and just have less of a good time. Whereas,
Less of a good
men,
time. Less of
yes,
a good
yes,
I was
time.
waiting for
yes,
Chuks to say
Wow.
something. I
yes,
was waiting.
Wow.
no, seriously. I mean, if you there again, there is research that reflects that marriage, for example, between heterosexual relationships is more beneficial to men
Man.
than it is to women,
Hmm.
because a lot of the time women are doing work, they're like doing labor within the relationship, whereas men are at the receiving end of that. And so, going back to the main question, I do think that women make so many more compromises than men would make in those same relationships. And you can think about from the superficial stuff to the way women look. Like, the standards that men have for us are completely different to the standards we have for men. The way a woman's house looks when a guy goes over, like,
Okay.
if your house
Can
is
you give
looking
me some
crazy, the
examples?
dude is looking
Can
at
you,
you like,
can you give me
no, like,
some examples of when you say the standards that men have versus like how women should look versus how women want men to look? Can you give me some examples of that, please?
um okay, like, if I don't know, like, if I feel like if you are on dating apps and if you see the difference between how men show up on the dating apps, their pictures, versus how women like, women are done up, like they have makeup on, and even when they look quote unquote natural, they still look like they present very well.
Underdated.
Whereas if you look at the pictures that men have, and I always roast my guy friends when I look at their profiles, it's always some grainy picture. It's like bathroom selfies, like the background looks whack, like there has been no effort put in. Or another also superficial example, but I think it makes the point. If you've ever seen like celebrities going to awards and they're couples, the woman will be like dressed to the nines, like she'll be looking amazing. The guy will be wearing a suit. Like it could be a themed event, and the man has made like barely any effort, and yet the woman is expected to show up looking a certain way. And if she doesn't, not only will society project onto their relationship, make criticisms that would make him feel like, yo, why is my girl not looking a certain way? But he would also like be looking at her sideways.
That's a bad assumption that you think the guy would be looking at her sideways.
But that's how it is.
Society, sure, but who's part of society? Like, I think we always think about like it's just like a whole bunch of angry men at the top pointing down like, "Fuck these women!" Like, why does she not wear a dress?
No casting. Look at you, Chuks.
There's a lot of stuff going on there. Like, it's like not only like men that are. Okay, yeah, there might be some society, but like it's women. A lot of times it's women like, why is she wearing that? I see women looking nice. In my eyes, this woman looks nice. I go to a group of girls and I hear them talking bad about her, like, why is she doing that? Why would she do that? Why would she do that? So I don't think it's about like, it's men that did this. Is whatever.
No,
it's like
but
what?
I think go ahead, Michelle.
This is what I'll say, right? When it comes to appearance or physicality or whatever we want to call it, I think that women and men have, I guess, high standards on their own. And to Gloria's point, I guess okay, and Chuks, feel free to correct me or whatever. Is it okay to generalize and say men are visual creatures, right? So someone needs to look good, and looking good will differ from one person to another. Maybe you could be like, oh, I don't want a girl who wears makeup, but another guy can be like, she needs to wear makeup. But when you look at her, she needs to be gorgeous right from the start, right? But I think, Gloria, if I'm to look at things from the man's side, like our standards are also high because there's a lot of women saying, I want a man who's like 6 feet tall. I want a man. So those standards, so then that leaves, like, let's say if a guy is 5'7" or 5'6", there aren't as many women looking at him because all the women want a man who's like 6 feet tall. Does that make sense? So I think like both men and women do have high standards when it comes to appearance. It just looks different, right? And to Gloria's point, I think even when we look at, say, women, women have to spend a lot more money to look good than men do. Because even if you think of, and I'm talking from a Black woman's perspective, if you want to like do your hair, makeup itself, and makeup covers all races, right? If you want to, makeup is so expensive that yes, we do have to look really good. We have to pay for makeup, pay for hair. You need to pay for like
that? You want to wear the makeup. You're wearing the makeup.
Yeah. No, but what I'm saying though is if there's a girl who wears a dress that is not very well fitting versus a girl who wears a dress that's more fitting, right? Like, who would you be drawn to?
It depends.
Whereas I think from Gloria's, from Gloria's point of view, like
if Gloria's talking about from the visual thing, the man will be drawn to the girl with a more fitting dress. Sure, I agree.
Yes. For women, when we look at men, most men, I'd say majority of men don't really know how to dress. Does that make sense? Like, okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, like sure. I feel like with women, like for the most part, outfits look really good. For some men, it's really a struggle. Like, what do I mix these shorts with, right? So in that sense, I'm also on Gloria's side when I'm like, yeah, okay, the standards dressing wise could actually be lower when a woman is looking at a man versus a man is looking at a woman. But go ahead, Chuks, with your question.
Okay, the dressing stuff. Okay, me personally, I just dress like whatever. I just put on a tech bro. I just put on my hoodie, put on my shorts and my Crocs, and I walk out. I don't care. But like, okay, you talked about the dress or something, but let me ask you something. If you saw a guy come up in like a beat down Toyota Camry, and then you saw another guy pull up with a like Corvette or like a Tesla, which one would you be more drawn to?
Is that
you'd have to? I feel like
anyone. Like I just say that's how that dress question sounded to me.
Gloria, go ahead. You can take it.
About presentation, sure.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'm the right person to ask to answer this question, because he would have to speak. He would have to talk to
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
because that's something else that I wanted to mention, was some of the other standards that women have, in addition to being like basic human decency, also has to do with like safety, right? So that's why certain standards that women have won't match up exactly to men's standards. For example, and I gave this, I talked about this on my stories, Michelle, when I was in Rwanda, right?
Mm.
Men would, I had this guy, we met at the Airbnb where we were staying. It was kind of like a hotel essentially. So, guests would come and go, often. And I was there for 8 weeks, the whole time that I was there. So, I saw many guests while I was there. And this one guy, we met at breakfast. He didn't have 5 minutes to look at me. There is no, and I'm not convinced, because the men on my stories were like, no, he was attracted to you. I was like, no ways. He met me in 5 minutes. There is no way. But this man saw me, met me in 5 minutes, asked me where I'm from and how long I'd been around. And then I went to my room, got my bag, so I was going to work, going to work. And then he stopped me and was like, oh, can you tell me things to do around the area? I start to tell him things to do around the area. He looks at my hand and he's like, oh shit, are you married? In a way of like, we cannot continue this conversation. I'm like, dude, that has nothing to do with anything, first of all. But secondly, at what point in the 5 or 10 minutes that you've known of my existence were you already attracted to me? Like, how is that possible, right? So even though he was dressed well, and he was good looking, but like, there's so many steps that need to happen before I decide whether or not this person is even safe for me to talk to or be attracted to, or like want to have a further interaction with this person. Whereas for men, again, because of the way the world is built for you all, you don't have to think about that, right? This man saw me and immediately was like, I was a potential, I don't know, option for him or whatever. This was like in 15 minutes. And so I feel like if I see two men, one with a car, a Tesla, and one with a beaten down Toyota, like, I need more. I need more to work with before I can be like, oh, this is who I'm attracted to initially. Of course, maybe I'll look at the cars and be like, oh, that's a nice car. But
Now,
like, I don't know that I would be attracted to them in that
let me
way.
ask
And I
you.
think that's a different
Let me
thing
ask
than
you.
to a woman who's wearing like a mini skirt versus a woman who's wearing like
Let me
baggy jeans,
let,
and who you're attracted to.
let me continue on your point. You said that he made sure there would be da da da. Talked for 15 minutes. He looked good.
Mm-hmm.
He was dressed nice. So you're pointing out the stuff that you know this about him physically. Not
Yes.
saying that just because they have that allows, you know what I mean, him to come to your life with that. But you pointed those things out. Now, what if he didn't? What if he had jogging pants? He had like the food in his teeth. Like his hair was nappy.
No,
Would
but
he
you
have even
see,
lasted
if
15 minutes? Would he have lasted 15 minutes then?
he
Like,
would have, because
mm,
if he started talking to me properly, then that would have
these
made
are
me
talks
feel
that
safer with him and
both
want to like have
both
more of an interaction.
both genders have subconscious thoughts that we judge people off of appearance. Like,
Absolutely.
yeah, like the fact that you might not know, but like, hey, the fact that he even looked good, he took care of himself, is like a subconscious thought that, okay, this guy might not be a little bit of a weirdo. But like, let's say if he didn't and he was just looking out of here, I've seen women say like, nah, like you talked about that safety factor. Like that could actually push away from that safety factor if he dressed bad or if he looked like a certain way. It's like this guy doesn't even take care of himself. This guy has food in the middle of his teeth. He has nothing to lose. He can hurt anyone on the street. Like
No,
I
no,
think
no.
that's
I
like
feel
it's
like
both sexes that do that. Like I've heard so many situations where women will feel safer, like just like it could be something like glasses, something like wearing a book bag. Like I've been in situations where women like come to me like, "Oh, you're smart." I'm like, "Why?" Because you're wearing a book bag and you have glasses and you have an ID tag on. Like it's just like, "Oh, he must be working. He must work somewhere." There's a
yeah,
safety
but you
factor.
see,
So
the underlying requirement there is that he's working. Like, those are the things that
Well,
women are looking for. They're looking for
that's
an
I
employed,
think
decent human being, whereas
no,
men are.
I think when
That's
people
the
say
problem.
that, when people say that stuff like, oh, women make they're very emotional intelligent, they just look for this, it kind of like gets rid of like humanity of both genders in my opinion, especially women. It puts an unrealistic high expectation that most women are so emotionally intelligent, know how to make the best choices. Like that's like an unfair expectation to put on someone. It's like when they say black people are stronger, and then when they're in the hospital and they're like sick and dying, they're in pain. Doctors are like, "Well, they're stronger. They're like their genes are better. Their genes are strong." It's like taking away their humanity. I feel like that's the same when it comes to women. Women like to say, "Oh, women are very 10 times emotional intelligent." Like,
I
yeah,
never
okay, they
said
might
that
be
though.
on average. On average, they might be
That's
more
not what I'm
emotionally
saying.
intelligent. But like, but no, you said that women like already have had these things. They're emotionally intelligent, while men haven't had. Well, yeah, some women have but let's be realistic.
No,
Like
but what I'm saying is
a
that
super emotionally
I'm not
intelligent.
saying that it's inherent,
Okay,
which is what you're suggesting. I'm
okay,
not
not
saying
saying
that
it's
it's inherent.
inherent. Not
I'm
saying it's
saying that
inherent,
it
but
is systemically we are systemically conditioned to be more, we communicate more and better. Not emotional, but we are more in tune with our emotions. Yes, that those are facts, right? And that is
Mhm.
because women talk to each other more. We're allowed to have feelings. This goes against us in some ways. It also goes against men in some ways. I'm not saying that it's men's fault. I'm saying that it's the way that society is built in such a way where there's certain standards we're allowed to have. There's certain standards men are allowed or expected to have, and these are disadvantages for both of us. It's no one's fault necessarily. It's the system. That's what
Mhm.
I'm
some
arguing.
can argue that it's nature.
Nature, I mean, how do you define nature? Because what I'm saying is that it's not this is not like uh by mistake, right? The society is designed and is perpetuated deliberately in this way, and to in a way that benefits men more so than women in a lot of.
Because we're in
Yeah.
a patriarchy. I agree. Sure.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
this was so interesting because I think with to Gloria's point, what she was saying as well, when it comes to the whole standards thing, was just saying women. I guess when a woman wants a man who is emotionally available and who's open and who can communicate, that's actually seen as a woman having high standards, right? Because maybe
Mm-hmm.
majority of the men are not offering that, and so if you're looking for all these things, then it's considered high standards. Whereas I mean, if you look at it, it really should just be a basic human standard. It's not asking for too much if you're asking for a partner to be able to communicate with you.
The more that we get into science and the more that data is available for people, we
Hmm.
kind of see that there's a big paradox for standards. Like in general, like not just dating. Like people say, like, "Oh, this is like a bare
Mm.
minimum." This, but if you really look at data, it's like, was this really the bare minimum? It's like
Right.
70%. Like, let's just look at like body. Like, let's just look at health, for example. Like simple biometrics, like your cholesterol, things like that, like BMI or like your
Yeah.
body fat percentage. Like those standards or doctors have, those change year after year
Yeah.
after year. It gets worse and worse after worse. You can't say that it's the bare minimum that someone eats like 2 cups of vegetables a day. That's just the bare minimum. You should walk in the sun and eat two. It's just the reality of the world. So to say something like that is a bare minimum, it's just like a paradox of standard. Like back then we didn't know about data, but now as we know about data, we're like, actually, this is just kind of like this kind of stuff is just really rare. Like,
But
and
you
I don't
you
think people.
can't complain about the standard once it applies negatively to you, right? Which is, I think, what a lot of women, when you talk about that bitterness and like frustration, it's because when women are when women have been quote unquote expected to, or have been, told that, oh, we're emotional all the time, and we're like, okay, fine, we're going to communicate. And this is since us being so quote unquote inherently emotional is how we're expected to show
I
up,
mean, both
then we're
both
going to
sexes are
say if a man
emotional.
doesn't show up
Both
in the
sexes
same
are
way,
emotional.
but hold on, if a man doesn't show up in the same way, then that's unacceptable. And then all of a sudden men are like, oh no, that's not fair. It's like, what do you want? And I think that's where the frustration is coming from, is that the standard is always changed and is constantly being shifted to men's benefit and not to women's benefit.
Okay, I guess we can conclude on that.
Wait, Chucks, you had something you wanted to say when she was speaking. Let it
Um,
out. Say it with your chest.
I think yeah, like with the like stuff like the economy, like careers, stuff like that. I agree. Yes, it's like a patriarchy. It's going to benefit men, things like that. But things like in dating, like I just thought about this dating app. You talk about women have makeup,
Mhm.
this. You're telling me if like, come on now, like you're telling me, okay, if I put a guy that looked really good, like, and I actually was my friend with this. I talked to one of my female friends, and she showed me her like her app or whatever.
Mhm.
And I have some male friends or so who like they showed me their apps, and like a really good looking guy that has like a certain career or something, wearing like a hoodie, could get like a whole bunch of matches versus like a short, not as good looking guy. Like you could take a female that okay might be dolled up or something like that,
Mhm.
but you can also put her like in a hoodie and she's still going to get like 50 matches. Like that's just how it's always been. I don't know if like the idea of that woman have it harder in that way or like dating apps. I'm not too sure about
Wait,
that one.
so Chucks, are you saying that the guy with the hoodie, are you saying he's taller than the other guy?
Yeah,
Or why
like
is he
yeah,
getting so
like
many? He has a better
yeah.
job. Like, what is
Yeah,
it?
there's just certain standards that the biases and standards that people will always have. Like it's not really a society, it's just like there's certain standards and biases. Like for example, where we went to school in Iowa, if I wore cowboy boots and had a big old truck and put out my dating app, like I will get more matches. You know what I mean? As a guy,
I actually disagree with that.
no, no, that's
Because
how it is.
let's talk about beauty standards, right?
Let's
And
Mhm.
talk about
this
beauty
is I
standards.
feel like this topic for black women especially is like one that would be really hard to win because like for us you have to be light skinned, skinny, or these days like having a curvy body, but it has to be within certain parameters where you have to look mainstream in a certain way in order for you to get more matches, in order for you to get people interested in you. Again, like I live in Palo Alto, it's mostly white men here. When I was on the apps, like it was hard out here. So
Mhm.
I really do think that
Like
the
colorism.
standards, again, even the things like height, that stuff is informed by certain politics, right? Which is like men have to be quote unquote strong, and this is what a strong man looks like. You could be a short man and still strong, but like
Yeah,
Mhm.
because of society, because of the media and all of this stuff, all of this is informing our quote unquote
like I
preferences,
said in the
which
beginning.
on
Yeah.
yeah, like they're not value neutral. They're definitely informed by certain agendas. And so I think even the stuff that informs, and I'm not saying that women are exempt from any of that stuff. Like we definitely like women, like they're tall, dark, and handsome. There's certain ideas about what a real man looks like, and women do play into that stuff as well. However, I think that women, in as much as they want that, the society in which we live is one that forces us to be partnered so much that even the beauty standards, the problematic ones that we would usually subscribe to, even the problematic standards for financial stability we would subscribe to, we will forego those standards just so we can be partnered. And that's how we end up with
They choose to be. They choose that
deadbeats.
though. Like
So you end up like
Right.
basically
I mean,
settling, is what you're
Yeah, like
saying.
uh,
how many smart women do you know, Michelle? And even you, Chucks, how many smart women do you know, especially once you get up to, at a certain age, who are like, listen, I need to have a husband. And so the man that they end up dating, even if they're like doing it in the at work, and they're smart, they're beautiful, they have all of these things they're ticking off, but they will settle for a man because there's so much pressure for heterosexual women to be partnered that they will lower their standards.
that pressure part, I can understand the pressure, like being pushed. But like in terms of like, I would say I see a lot of women like they have choices nowadays on who they want to marry
No, but
and when they want to
that's
marry.
the myth
But
that
like,
I'm talking
okay,
about. They don't
but
have that choice.
oh, they
They're
have choices like
still
to choose. They're still settling at the end because at the end of the day, they still want to get partnered. And
yeah.
certain biology, like there's certain things, like the body has a clock. Like I
Right.
was just talking with my friend the other day. I was like, women have a clock in certain aspects, men have a clock in certain aspects. Like women, yeah, unfortunately, it's like the reproductive clock that when you're 20,
But that's
that
not an objective
like
fact,
25,
though.
30, 35, like there's certain clocks, there's certain things about society, there's certain like it's a nuance of things that's gonna make someone wanna, just settle or change in a certain way. Like
Chuks,
the woman that's
question.
35.
What
Quick
is the
question, yeah.
man's what's a man's clock? Because I'm
A
curious
man's
about
clock
that.
is like when a guy gets himself together. Like you see some
Mm.
guy, he's a bit of bum. He's been living on the floor and like his friend's apartment. This all of a sudden the next week you're like, wow, how the hell is this guy a millionaire? It's just that clock turned on. Like society's like, you have to be useful to society. Like,
But what I will say is the man's clock is ticking a lot slower than the woman's clock in
and
terms
yeah,
of being
it's ticking
partnered.
slow. And it's ticking slower for certain reasons. Like there's just certain parts of nature,
But
like
it's
there's
not
just certain.
nature. That's my whole point.
Okay,
Like,
it's
it's
not
not
nature.
nature.
Sure, I'm not gonna. Okay, sure, I'm not gonna say it's nature, but like there are just certain ways like this stuff could be not avoided, but changed. Like, okay, now we're talking about. Okay, look at this. It's like older men just used to grab younger women. Back in the day, all
Mm-hmm.
the time. Women have the choice now. They can date someone who they like, who they have more interest with. They're gonna have more interest in someone closer to their own age. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So now you're breaking hundreds of years, thousands of years of how reproduction used to happen, where it was an older male with resources taking a younger woman. Now you have like a younger woman that could date younger men, that could date like men around their age, things of that nature.
Those
Like it
women
was just
are
like
still very much in the minority, though. I feel like that. I mean, that does happen and
we
is
have to be we
happening.
have to be
But I think
realistic. When I
overwhelmingly,
say younger man, I could mean like she could be 28, the guy's 30. I don't mean like he's like younger. No, I mean like around her age, shares interests, like will be able to understand things with her socially in that aspect.
mm-hmm.
Like things of that nature. Like this is what I mean. Like there's a nuance of things. Like, okay, if you're dating like younger men your whole 20s, like people around your age, there are like plenty of older men that you could have been dating in your 20s that probably would have provided some stuff that you wanted. Like that's still a societal like perspective shift that it's not like normalized as much.
Mm-hmm.
There are healthy ways to do that. Like it's not about, oh, he's older, so he must just have money. I'm only gonna go to that guy when he has
Mm-hmm.
money. It's still a societal thing. This is stuff that we need to talk about. This is stuff that we need to change.
When we look at things from like a woman's perspective, right? Like I actually think that I'm gonna say something, and if you don't agree, feel free to jump in. I think that when it comes to dating, for example, when you're younger, right? Like the standards that you have at 21 versus the standards that you now have at 35, and both women are unmarried. Like for women's standards, they actually go down. Like you start to like settle because you're like,
Mm-hmm.
well, like at 21, I did want a man who made X amount, but like, man, there isn't much going on
It's
out
not
here. So I'm
realistic. Yes,
right. I'm gonna
because
cut that in half.
That's what
Whereas
that's
like
what
with
anything.
men, no, but Chuks, let's talk about it from a relationship standpoint. Like we're
Okay,
talking
let's
about
see.
like
Let's
getting
see.
booed up, right?
Okay,
Whereas
let's see. Yeah.
with men, like honestly, I don't think that men actually lower their standards the older they
they
get
don't, because
because at
they have
60,
more to choose from. They can
yes,
choose from anyone from, I mean, if you're a
yes,
decent human being, you can choose from any, let's say you are 35.
yeah,
Basically anyone who's like 25 and above
upwards, yes,
maybe
yes,
is
yeah.
open for you. Whereas
Hey,
for women that's not the case.
even if a man is 68, he can still be with a 30-year-old woman, right?
Yeah, there's
But for
literally
women, it's
no
not like
reason.
that.
Okay,
Yeah, there's
whose
literally
fault
no
whose
reason
fault
for
is
a
that?
man
Like when I was
to lower his
25,
standard.
when
Like
I was
the way
20,
that society is set up right now,
no, whose
even
fault
if
is
I
that?
was a man, I would never lower my standards because there are just so many good
Yeah.
women out there, like women who have all the things that I want. Whereas for women, that is
Your
not the
perspective.
case. And this is why you find women who are willing to date the same man or be with a man who's married, because there is this perception, and it is a perception that there's not enough to go around.
There's
But
more than enough
part
to
of
go
that
around.
perception, how that perception is fed, is because there's so much pressure for women to be partnered, and so it creates this like economy of eligible bachelors, essentially, where it's literally capitalism but relationships, where like there's very little supply and more demand than supply. And so women are constantly fighting it out, while men have no reason, because there is an abundance of supply.
Not
And
abundant.
the reason why
There
that
is
is
abundance.
because, I mean, there is. I mean, literally, even numbers wise, right? In most societies, there's 2 to every man or something like that. Like, there's no reason for you guys to not be picky. You can afford to do that because there's so much choice. Whereas for a lot of women, I mean, think about Black women in America, for example. Do you know, like, the statistics around eligible Black men who are college educated? Literally, the higher you get in your career, the harder it is to
And
get married to a Black man in this
look,
country.
look how you use college education as a marker.
No,
Like,
but like, is that
like
not a marker
why
for
is that?
you?
Why
Are
is
you
that?
trying
Why
to
is
date
that?
a girl from the village? Let's be real.
You
Like,
see,
come on.
you see, this is the dichotomy of society, like that I'm talking about. Like, oh, so if he doesn't educate it, it's like black or white thinking. It's like it doesn't
Okay,
allow
no, but
people.
let me ask you
People
this.
don't want to do the work.
If you were
People
to
don't.
pick someone to date, are you dating someone who is not college educated? Let's be real.
I personally want a college educated person.
Exactly. So why
That's my
shouldn't we get the
standard.
same thing?
No, you can. If
No,
you
but you
can,
know
you
what
can.
I will
That's
say?
it.
This is
Like
what I
you
will
can.
say. I've had guy friends who've told me that they actually don't like this guy could be making a lot of money and he doesn't care what the woman does, like his
And
wife.
yeah,
He's like, he
a lot
doesn't
of guys
care.
do that.
But you know
A
what
lot
it
of
is,
guys
Chuck?
do that.
When women have standards around how much a man should be making, it's not just about, I want him to make this much because I'm making this much. There are a lot of cases where when a man makes way less than a woman, it rubs his ego off the wrong way. And now it's problematic. Like, you're married to this guy.
Wait,
He
wait,
feels like you're controlling him because you're
this
making more money. So you're just like, to avoid that, I don't even want money to be an issue. Let's
no,
start
no.
off at the same level. So
Let's stop that.
I don't
Let's stop
think,
that there. What
but
you just said right there. Like you can't tell me someone could go with someone and women that have choices now. It's not like back in the day where there's some controlling aspects. A lot of those situations where you're talking about the man made less and was still angry. It was some patriarchy and some controlling aspects that were happening. It wasn't in this free dating world. So
you
you
know,
can't say it's
Chucks, the thing is, I think
like
I think you're a different type of guy. There are actually guys.
Yeah, you are absolutely overestimating how progressive men today are.
may I
Men
talk?
Wait,
today
1
May
are
I talk?
second.
really.
May I talk? May I
Wait,
talk?
Chucks, let me just finish one line. Chucks,
One
I
line,
have
sure.
guy friends who have actually told me, Michelle, I could never be with a woman who makes more than me. And it was because of
Yes,
that
And there
reason.
you
So,
go.
so
today's
it's not,
men,
There,
so that's what I'm
young
there you
men.
saying.
go. Look what happened. They said I could never be with a woman that makes more than me. That boundary has been set. That thing never happened. That thing never collided. Those two people never formed together
But
to
there's
even get
still
to the
some
marriage.
people,
No,
but you know,
it didn't get to the marriage part. That's just what I'm trying to say. Like you're talking about, oh, I just want to avoid it altogether. No, there's some guys that you can make less than that would be willing to date you. Like the ones that don't want to date you will say it, or the actions while you're dating, you will start to see the insecurities start to manifest themselves. Like,
So
come on
you're
now.
saying,
Like,
like, so you're saying, you know, despite the fact that some men might have ego issues, they should still be given a chance.
I'm not saying anyone should tolerate disrespect or anything. When you're dating, part of dating is seeing what you like, what you don't like, letting your values be known, letting your boundaries be known. And if someone isn't matching those, you move away. That's just dating in general.
But you know what the problem is? The problem is when you move on, people then say you have high standards. Like, why are you even
Yes,
having that?
yes,
That's the
and
problem.
also, Michelle. Another thing is that that attitude, like it denies the reality of the situation, right? Which the reality of the situation. Again, this is why I said if we use the example of like standards, right? Black women are rejected, especially dark-skinned Black women. We're rejected. Fat women are rejected all the time. And if you say to someone, well, if someone just rejects you, then just move on to somebody who wants you. It's like, sure, I could do that. But there's also the pressure of me having to find someone or to be accepted or to be chosen. And so even though I'm well aware that I have the quote unquote choice, which again, relative, to find someone who is attracted to me, there's so few people who are attracted to me, so it'll be difficult to find them, number one. Number two, even if I find them, it probably comes at the cost of having to endure other abuses, right? So like, yes, in the pure sense of the circumstance, yes, women could find men who are fine with them, making whatever they make, right? Making more than them. Like, sure, in theory, but in practice, that is not how it actually happens. What actually ends up happening is that, number one, we can barely find those men because they're not in our immediate circle or just easy to find, period. And secondly,
Fine.
if you do find a man who is willing to date you, even though you make more than him, he probably comes with other problems as well. And the reason why that is because he will say, well, I am fine with dating you, even though you make more money than me. All of these other men would never look at you twice because of that reason. So we often have to make these trade-offs a lot of the time. Many of those trade-offs men don't have to make. Usually a man will make, by design, most of the time he will make more than a woman. There might be exceptions, but again, those are exceptions. Most of the time he's able to find a woman who makes less money than him, is beautiful, is domesticated, is emotionally intelligent, is intelligent in other ways, can have children, all of these things. Like it's fairly easier for you to find that woman than for it is for me to find a man who is willing to, looks good, emotionally intelligent, emotionally open, all of this stuff. Like it's not as easy for me to find the quote unquote perfect partner as it is for men to find the perfect partner. So that's
easily.
Huh?
Men don't find a perfect partner easily. I don't know where this.
Really? Tell us more about that, Chuks.
This reality that women think that a man just wakes up and says like, I want a bad bitch that's a lawyer and will have my 6 kids and my mom likes her. I could just get that at the blink of an eye. That's not the reality for most men. Like most men will settle as well. Most men will be with women that just accept them for their awkwardness and their high social anxiety. Most men will be women that just accept them for they can't dress or they play video games all day or they don't wash their boxers.
Okay, so let me ask you this: what because I can point to like emotional openness or selflessness as something that women have to constantly they have to make a trade-off, right? So usually the man will have all of those things except that one thing. What is something that you find men have to
not really
overlook?
Like some men will overlook, like you talk about emotional intelligence. Part of emotional intelligence is also regulating your emotions.
Okay.
Like knowing how to handle your emotions appropriately, knowing how to like not dump your emotional turmoil and drama on other people. I know a lot of men who sit in their cars before they come home. Like before they walk inside the house, sit in the cars for 10 minutes, literally as a peace of mind, like breathing, like meditating, breathing before they walk into their wife. This is your wife. And you sit there in the car for 10 minutes or 20 minutes, like, because you're like, this is just a piece I'll get for now. Like, that's what I mean. Both sexes.
Every time that happens,
both sexes
what
deal with different
what
things.
is the wife dealing with that makes her mean? Or you know what I mean? Like, I want to know
this is what I'm saying. Like now it's automatically shift. What was the wife dealing with? Like some people just can't have their own trauma that is ingrained in them. Like, okay, for example, you talk about emotion. Like, I'll take some of my dating. Like me, for example. Like I'll talk to on the phone. Like when I talk on the phone, I want to talk about what's happening. I don't want to talk about what your girlfriends are doing. I don't want to talk about what all of this drama that's going on. A lot of women that I've dated, top women, like high professional women, will always try to put that emotional damage, like stress on me. And I'm like, I don't want to hear that. And then I'm putting it as a bad guy.
Wait, hold on.
I'm like, I don't want to hear that.
Wait.
I don't want to hear that, man.
Give me more details.
Your girlfriends.
I want to know more things. Wait, you don't want to hear about the issues she's having with her friends, like the drama?
No. Like some stuff that is like, there's no, how do I say, like constructive like way to go up. It's just like complaining,
like gossip.
Venting. Yeah, certain parts of gossip and stuff like that.
But that's just regular couples talk. Like, what do
you see? This is the eyes from your.
No, but I don't understand what it is you had to deal with. Like I don't understand. Like,
no. I'm just trying to say, like, some guys will give up some of their time, some of their space, some of their passions to accommodate the woman inside. Like some men lose out on certain things as well.
Okay.
Some guys would be like, he'd be really fit, this. I love going to the gym, but like, oh, he's with his wife. I'm gonna just put that to the side because she doesn't like, well, she wants me to do this. If I do this, she'll like get toxic. Like there's some toxicness from both sides. They're both like, you need to talk to Ben.
Let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this because something that I think Gloria brought up earlier on was about how, um, and you both know this, right? Like we're at a point in time where women are making the same as men, or sometimes women are making way more than men. But there's still some men, and it's not all. Some men still expect the woman to run the household. So it's like
Mhm.
after both of you have come from work, he expects you to be the one to clean, to cook, to take care of the kids. And I don't know if you've seen this, but on Instagram as well, there are all these little reels that people will post where they're like, oh, my husband is helping out with the kids, right? And
Mhm.
people have a
Mhm.
problem with that
He's
because it's like,
babysitting his
yes, and
freaking
it's like it
children.
shouldn't even be called babysitting because
Mhm.
you both created this human being. And if I'm saying like both of you are going to work, it's unfair to say after we've both come from work, it's like say 7 p.m., then I'm the one who is responsible for all the household chores, right? So then that's the thing where it's like you do have like Chuks, I'm not saying that that's the situation with your friends who are sitting in cars or whatever, but I'm saying sometimes the woman becomes or is now called a nagging wife, but really she's
Mhm.
just asking you to not even just help her,
To
like
share
you
the
to
burden.
share the burden. Because if both of us are working, I'm not asking for too much if I'm saying, hey, like, can I do this while you're doing this? Do you get that? What's your comment on that, Chuks?
No, that's fair. Like I understand. Like if you're both, you like. I think that's just a reality of that's just the reality of the world. Like if both people are working equal type of jobs, both professional type of jobs, making around the same or whatever, you have to share the household burdens, or you have to outsource it. That's just reality. Like
Right.
cost of living has like doubled or tripled while wages have stayed the same, something
You
like that for
know,
the past
but like
40
you
years.
think like
But
that, you would be surprised to find out that
no,
you're
you
actually in the
You
minority. A
are,
lot of
yeah.
it's
men
not about
don't think like that. A lot of men still expect a woman to perform her gender roles in addition to
and there's
I
I can
had a
say
guy tell me,
let
he
me
was like, I don't see why I should live a life like a bachelor, i.e., cooking for himself or whatever, if I've married someone's daughter. How problematic is that?
yes, and these are like
Like,
young men.
this is a young man who is like, this guy has a good job. I also have a good job, right? And you're telling me, oh, I don't see why if I'm with somebody, I need to be living as if I'm a bachelor.
Yeah.
So that's a very problematic way of thinking. And Chuks, that's what I'm saying, that maybe for you and maybe some of the guys that you have in your circle are not like that, but trust me,
A
and
lot of
like
men
there are
are.
so many, and
Yeah.
it's not that they're uneducated. Some of them have PhDs, some of them have,
Yes.
like, these
yeah,
are educated men.
education is
Especially
education
no,
is not really a
Michelle, especially if
factor.
we're talking African men as
Edu-
well. I cannot tell you
education
how
is
many African men that I know of, or like that I know people who are married to African men who, when they were dating, when they were in college, it was all good. Everyone
Uh-huh.
was equal. Everyone was doing that. And then as soon as tradition seeps in, they get married, they're expected to play the role of a traditional African wife, and like be home all the time, dress a certain way, but definitely like serve, wait on him hand and foot the way that their mothers wait on them hand and foot. And like literally all of that progressive thinking flies out the window. And that's the nature of marriage, by the way. And this is me as, a marriage researcher. Literally, like tradition seeps in, and the problematic things that we think, oh, our marriages will never fall into this way,
that
like
happens
it
for
ends up
both
happening
sides.
that
That
way
happens
because
for
that's
both
just the way that
sides.
it's created.
That happens for both sides, though.
Give us
Like you
an
said, like
example,
a lot
Chuks.
of
Yeah.
okay, like you said, you're a marriage counselor. Like there's been a lot of marriages where, like, okay, equals is like fine. Like I've heard some men who talked about some of their divorces and seen some things like, okay, it might be equal, progressive, like you're saying, everything is cool, and then when the woman like gets married to him, sometimes some of them is like, oh no, you should be pushing forward. You should be making more. I made this much more. You should
Mm,
be making this much more. There's bullying
mm,
that aspect. That's what women do. We don't talk about that in society, but that
mm.
happens as well. That happens as well. You said you're a marriage researcher. You should have seen that happens as well. I've read some of the research, and I've seen that been talked about. Like, oh, I got this promotion now. We're progressive. Then, oh,
But
you should be the man. You should be the man.
that usually occurs while the woman is also being the caregiver, the primary caregiver at home. So
No,
she
no, no,
will
no, no,
ask
no, no.
for her
There've
man
been
to
some
make more,
progressive.
that
There've been some.
she is either working or she's working and she's
No,
like
they've
taking care of the home
been
most of the time.
progressive. When I'm talking about, I'm not talking about the woman that's taking care of the kids, cleaning the house, and working as well. No,
But
no, no.
that's
I'm
what I'm
talking about the
saying. Like
progressive.
most, even in progressive relationships, gender roles tend to be the case where women are taking care of the home and cleaning up, even if it's something like small, like, doing the dishes, or I don't know, just making sure that the place is tidy, right? Like a lot of times you have women be frustrated with their partners if they're living with them. And it's like, okay, he doesn't force me to do certain things, but I will find myself cleaning up. And for him,
Yeah.
that's something that he doesn't even have to think about anymore.
Okay,
But that's something that I have to think about,
she
because
wanted to
I'm
clean
a
it up.
woman and I'm socialized in a particular way. And he benefits from that socialization, whether or not he expects it of me or not. It's just the way that society operates.
I've
And
heard
this is
some,
why
yeah,
people say,
I've heard some friends of mine say some stuff like that. Like, oh, my
yeah,
boyfriend, he just eats
like
the
it's not like
potatoes.
our
He
men
just
are
eats the,
like beating us and expecting us to clean up, you know what I mean? It's not like
yeah.
that, but
It's
you
not,
do still
but
benefit from the way that
I've had
society is
this
structured.
conversation before. I've had this conversation with someone before. Like some of my girlfriends will talk about like, ah, he just wears a hoodie all the time. I helped and got him this suit. I dressed him up this way. He just eats ramen every day. I bake a gourmet meal. Or he's okay with putting his
Yes,
clothes.
yes,
I did this.
that is
Why are you
all
playing savior?
emotional
They're
labor
living their
that,
life. They don't ask you to do this. Why are you doing this? You doing this out the box for
no,
your
but that's
ego.
what I'm
Like, don't try to put that
saying,
on the
right?
guy.
That's
Don't try to
exactly
put
what
that on
I'm
the
saying.
guy.
I agree
Why
with
are you
you.
doing this?
I
Why don't you
agree
stay
with
in your
you.
lane?
I agree with you. We shouldn't be doing this, but
Why are
we
you
do
doing this?
this, and you still benefit from it with like,
No, it's like me saying I put $2,000 in your bank account every month. You're not asking me to do this, but you still benefit
yes,
from this.
I still benefit,
No,
even if
that's
you, yeah,
wrong.
because if you
That's
don't do
wrong.
it, then I
Why
don't
are
have
you
the two
complaining
thousand
for?
dollars, right?
And you know what? I think what I'll say is I think that's why some of these standards are important. And this part I'm even talking about, say you're dating someone and the guy is like, you need to like, let's take it to the next level, right? Like let's move in together. Sometimes if you don't want, because now when you're living with someone, Gloria, to your point, right? If you're somebody, and I'm saying this is like, okay, maybe you're the girl in the situation and you can't stand seeing a dirty apartment. Now that you're living with someone, because you're sharing the space, you're not cleaning it for him, right? But you're cleaning it
Yes,
because you need a clean place. And so
yes,
that's why you then have to have, if that matters to you, that you don't want to be cleaning up after someone, you have to be like, hey, maybe for you to be like, hey, I don't want to move in with you until I'm married, because at that point I'm not seeing the benefit, right?
yes.
And if someone says that, if someone that says that that's their standard, it's not that their standard is a high standard. That's just what will work for them, so that there's no frustration on
But
anyone's end.
Yeah.
what is the marriage going to fix? That's not the root cause problem in that situation. You said, "Oh, I'm not going to move into a marriage." That's not fixing the root cause problem. The root cause issue right there is that you do not like being with an unhygienic person. Why are you still dating this
No, that's
No,
not
unhygienic
what
so
it
I
person?
is.
want to
No, no, no.
make a
Oh,
point,
go ahead.
Michelle,
Hmm.
just related to this conversation about I don't know if you've heard about weaponized incompetence, and people make these threads and TikToks all the time. But when like a woman will send a man to the store to buy something. Let's say for the kids, buy nappies. She'll put like a grocery list or whatever, and then sometimes like one of the TikToks I've seen is where she literally creates a chart and she puts pictures of the brand of the thing that this man who shares children with this person as well as a whole house with this person, and then they go to the store, they come back with the absolute wrong thing, and like it's like a whole key people laugh about it and they're like, oh, men can't do any. It's like bullshit. Like men can learn how to do, you know what I mean? Like, if you needed to go and get whatever special sneaker, or if if we ask you about like all the different I don't know, like sports people, all their stats, all the teams, how they're doing on, in the tournaments or what, details, how to, and you do it at your workplace. And then when you come to the home, all of a sudden you're a bimbo and you can't do anything right. And the woman ends up doing it because she's like, you know what, it'll get done quicker. So in the end, these women end up going to the store by themselves. Like that is
Mm.
weaponized incompetence. And this is the kind of like insidious compromise that women are forced to make in relationships in order as I said before, to stay partnered. That is why I'm saying that our standards are much lower. Because if someone was doing irritating shit like that, a lot of the time men don't have to deal with that kind of like um uh having to take on responsibilities. A lot of the time, like, we will do things by ourselves. Men are not making I don't know, they're not building homes by hand, they're not going out into the woods to like hunt or whatever, you know what I mean? So the gendered roles are still gendered, but only in the domestic space and to the detriment of women. And so that's why I'm saying, like, if we're talking about relationships where women have to shoulder a lot of that, like, emotional emotional labor, and like just small things that you have to think about and do that the man doesn't have to think about and do, because that's just how it is, quote unquote, then it means that our standards are much, much lower.
If you're talking about to be partnered, if partnership is a goal, yes. But it's just that at the end of the day, I'm looking at it from like you don't need to be partnered. Like, and it's okay. We should be pushing that. Like, it's okay not to be partnered. Like, I love these feminists that talk about like they don't want to get married, but that's great, man. We need to open up that reality of things. Like,
Absolutely, I agree with that too. But I think if it once we get to that ideal utopia, that would be great. Until that time,
there's never going to be a utopia. There's always going to be. There needs to be just. I think just needs to be different variations in the dating realm that people need to consider. Like, there could be different ways. Like, and it might not be conventional or traditional, but people need to innovate those. And I think women, like, just sticking to the script thing of like, okay, this is a traditional relationship, but traditional 2.0 or 3.0, it's not going to work with some stuff that I hear for some people.
But it's not up to women alone, and that's what I'm
Women
saying.
alone.
It's
I say
not
it's
just
not up to,
about
but
it's not
there's
just
a
about
lot of.
women
It's
raising
not
their
just about.
standards. It's about
It's not
men
about.
being decent people. That's what it is. So
No,
the
it's not that men
responsibility is on all of us,
men
right?
aren't
The
decent people.
responsibility is for us to create a standard and stick to it.
Right?
But on the other end, it's also for men to rise up to the standard that we stick to. So that's what I'm saying. Like, when this study came out about men struggling in dating apps, like, there was a huge backlash of men being like, oh, you guys are just going to be alone forever. It's like, no, why don't you just do what is beneficial to all of us?
There's
And
always
like,
going to be a backlash for everything.
yes, but what my point is simply that the society in which you're saying, well, women should just raise their standards. If you meet a man who doesn't meet those standards, then just don't date. I mean, sure, yes, we could do that, right? And women do that. But on the other end, they're also being met with derision and criticism from the men who they're trying to raise their standards against, right? So like,
I mean,
yeah, so like,
there's gonna be criticism for a lot of stuff. Like, I'll give you an example. Like, something I've seen from the men's side. Like, I've seen a lot of men, like, over the years talk about like they just want to split the check when they first date. They say they see no need of like paying for someone they don't know yet. Like, when that started happening years ago, that was a lot of criticism. Like, how dare you? Like, this. But now, like, it could be a normal thing now. Like,
in my experience, it's not a normal thing still.
Wait,
But
so Chuks, if a woman expects a man to pay for the first date, would that be considered a high standard in your opinion?
it depends on the person. Like, for example, me, like, I'm like, okay, if I don't know it, like, it could be a lot of different things. Like, okay, if I'm just trying to get to know someone and that, okay, hey, we're just going to get like a bare minimum date or like something simple where I can get to know this person. Do I even want to talk to this person? Things of that nature. Like, why should I be expected to pay for you? Why?
But if we go to a coffee shop, how much is coffee? Let's say even like $20 tops. So what is it? Is it about the $20 or it's just the I guess the
Why
concept
is another
behind you
the
paying?
concept behind another person paying, like being expected to pay? Like, what is it? What am I paying for?
So okay, so if a woman said, if a woman said, Chucks, I will only date someone who pays for the first date, would that be a high standard or it's not
No,
high?
that's
Like, is
that's her
that a
standard.
okay?
She's taking lead of her relationship. Like, she's like, oh, if you don't even pay for my date, don't talk to me. That's cool. It's not high. It's her standard. It's not high. It's not low. It's her standard. But if she
Mm.
starts complaining that most of these guys, every time I tell them they have to pay for my date, they walk away. then that's just like, no, that's your standard. Stick to it and go continue with it. Like the society doesn't revolve around you. That's just your standard. Move on in life. Like
Mm.
let's filter out the ones that you don't. Okay, they say, oh, you have to pay for this, and they leave. Okay, filter that out.
It makes a lot of sense, right? I think what I'm just learning from this conversation is it's never going to be an apples to apples thing, right?
Never.
Like we're not comparing the same thing on both ends. And
Yeah,
what
both ends are
someone
never going to compare
considers
the same thing.
yeah, and what someone considers a high standard might not be a high standard, right? Like sometimes when you're like, oh, I want someone who's a good communicator, that's not a high standard. That's just your standard, and there's nothing wrong with it. And it's more of like
Exactly.
trying to see if somebody would meet that standard. So I guess in conclusion, guys, let everybody say a statement here with regards to the last, I mean, to the prompt I gave. So do you agree or disagree with the facts or the things that people have said that women have way higher standards than men? Like summary, yes or no? Do you agree or do you disagree?
Um, I disagree. I don't think women have way higher standards than men. I
Okay.
think just they have different standards. Like I don't think there's anything wrong. I don't even like to think high or low. I don't even like hearing high standards, low standards for any gender, in my opinion. Like it's
Mm.
just the way how it is. We're breaking away group thinking. We're pushing individualism. Let people do what they want to do, and just
Mhm.
people should just stop complaining. Like just do what you want to do and move on. Like let's tackle the more important stuff, like certain things, like maybe like something like financial manipulation, abuse, things that could be like more constructive rather than like what's a high standard or low standard. Because in
Mm.
5 years, that high standard is going to be different.
Mhm.
Like before, a high standard used to be, let's take 10, 20 years back. A high standard used to be, you need to be someone that can work on their hands, work with their hands, be manly, be tooly. That doesn't people don't care about that anymore. Technology has changed. You could get on TaskRabbit and get someone to fix your car. You could get
Mhm.
your insurance company to send someone to fix your tire. That doesn't matter anymore. So
Mhm.
it's like the base is very what I say that the base problem there is very it's not strong. Do you get what I'm saying? That's what I've been arguing with. Some of the bases that I hear people talking about, it's not strong. Let's talk about the stuff that have strong bases, that actually have foundations. That's what we can build about upon.
Oh.
But stuff like tall or dress nice, this who cares? Like who knows? It's for 30 years when they might not have been dressing all. Everyone might be naked. Who knows? I don't know.
Oh God.
That's like that's just the reality of the world. No, that's just the reality of the world. Like we have to look at the reality here. That's just the reality of the world.
That was a solid closing statement. How about you, Glo?
I think that today in 2022, and
Mm.
probably in the near future, women have much lower standards than men do. Um, and I'm mainly speaking about financially, interrelationally, um, yeah, emotionally as well. I think that women have lower standards than they should, and they also have lower standards than they're usually um, said to have. And yeah, I think that the what standards they do have should be the bare minimum, and it is the bare minimum in many other spaces. But because of the way that women are expected to be partnered, they usually lower those standards for various reasons.
Okay. If the conclusion is women are most likely, if you're going to say like a conclusion from that, women are most likely
Are
going to
you
be the ones to
mansplaining me right
compromise in a relationship. No, I'm saying something like
No,
so.
because what I said
Say
was clear.
I'm going to say now that I heard that I was okay. If the whole argument we've been having is that women will compromise more to find a mate than men, yes, I will agree with that.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we agree.
Gloria.
Thank you.
Gloria
That's
was
all I've been
triggered.
saying.
Oh God.
Standard part, I don't know. Standards is very easy, but if you say women are most likely going to compromise more on
Hmm.
their values, their
I
beliefs,
mean, that's
and their life
exactly what we've been
thing,
saying this whole time.
ah, standards, man. But okay, what's the root cause? Why are you willing to compromise more? Who's forcing you?
Oh,
Society is forcing you.
Yes.
Okay, well,
yeah, yeah. Wow. I mean, this was such a solid. You know what? To everybody who was listening, this was so good because I was like, I feel like I have two great debaters on this call, and I'm trying to take notes, and I'm trying to be like, okay, what can I say? What can I say? So thank you so much. To everybody who is listening, you have your thoughts as well. Feel free to DM me at Unpacking Love. I'm really, really curious to hear what your guys' thoughts are. Do you think women have higher standards than men? Let me know, guys. I'm always happy to read all the DMs. Thank you so, so much, Glo and Chuks, for being on here. This was so much fun and so insightful.
Thank you. This was fun.
Thank you, Glo. Thank you, Michelle.
Till next time, guys. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Ndiwe wandiro ya moyo wangu, ndiwe wandiganganiza fungo zangu.